going to talk about Omlet, and it is a revolution against Big Brother social networks. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Like what?
Facebook.
Facebook. How many of people here are on Facebook?
Right now?
No. How about not on Facebook?
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, yeah. All right. But those of you who are on Facebook, have you read the terms of service? No. You didn't, and you're on Facebook. Let's read it together. Oh, Facebook, you open the terms of service. It has a very, and on the very top it says you own your data. Sweet. What's the problem? Why am I complaining? I'm complaining. Well, it then has a lot more lines on this terms of service. Let's take a look what it says. It says, you grant as a non-exclusive, transferable, sub-licensable, royalty-free, worldwide license to use any other content that you post. A lot of words. What does it say? I could have replaced that whole sentence with 3 words, 2. It says, so do we. Okay? You own your data, so do we. We always think about ownership as exclusive. When we see the first line, it seems to be fine, but it actually says, we own it too, right? What does that mean? So in case you don't really understand, what ownership means, it says, you permit a business or other entity to pay us to display your name and profile picture with your content or information without any compensation to you, okay? So they sell your data, they don't give you the money. Well, but that's not all there is to it, so they even spelled it out further. It says that you understand that we may not always identify paid services and communications as such. It means that they can take your name and your picture and say whatever they want on behalf of their sponsors, and your friends don't even know that it's not you endorsing the product. Do you know that? Do you know that that's happening? Yeah, and we've seen that actually work in practice. It is not just an empty promise that they can do this. So what this leads to is this picture that you probably have never seen this. Back in the good old days, people have operators that connect telephone calls, and they can easily listen in on any conversation. But it is kind of strange that by 2015, our communications are actually listened to by a company who actually takes the data and sells it. So it's kind of like a real going backwards in our data ownership and in privacy. So maybe we don't care about. Do you care about privacy? Yeah. All right. So there is personal data, and some people do, and some people don't care about privacy. But what about education? Does it mean that anything that you produce in schools and colleges, the intellectual property belongs to the company that allows you to share the data? That doesn't seem fair. Are we ready to share finance data, health data? How do we do commerce under this kind of a policy? And besides the question of privacy, Facebook has over 1.4 billion people in the network. And that is becoming like a monopoly. And you know what happens with a monopoly is that you drive away open competition. And this is pretty nasty because what it means is that consumers suffer, everybody suffers except for one company. So this is where we are today. Let's roll back to 2008. We saw that this is potentially going to happen. And therefore, in 2008, we wrote a proposal to National Science Foundation and said that let's put some money in research in the university to build a programmable open mobile internet. And we call it Hobby 2020, year 2020. That's what we want to create. And the government thought that was a great idea, gave us a pretty big grant, and we started this research on creating this open system. So 4 years later, by 2012, we finally figured out the answer. The answer is actually pretty simple. All right, here is the architecture. So today, we have all these phones. They're pretty powerful, right? But when it comes to social networking, we treat them like they are dumb thin clients. All we do is that we attach them to the mothership, and in order for us to share data, we upload our data into Facebook so that they can own it, and then they can share the data with us, according to what they, according to their rules in a sense. Well, this is very limiting, especially considering how powerful our phones are. Now, why is it that my phone, I can take a picture of you guys here, and why can't I take the picture and share it with you in the audience? Right? People said, oh, this is fair because Facebook is free, and therefore, they help us communicate, so you have to give them the data. But I don't know about you. I spend about $100 a month on my data plan. This is not free. It's my phone. I have a data plan. You have your phone. You have a data plan. I should be able to take this picture, share it with you, and I shouldn't have to share it with anybody else. So this is the basic premise of this new architecture, and that is the phones get to talk to each other. The problem is that technically, even though it is feasible, we have this protocol called TCP/IP addresses that make it very difficult for my phone to contact your phone because we don't know each other's TCP/IP address. However, we know each other's, say, phone numbers, email addresses, or even Facebook IDs. So what we need is a messaging network here that allows the phones to talk to each other based on identities that humans know. All right? I know my friends' identities. I should be able to send the message through this messaging service. And now you say, so what's the difference between this and this guy? The only difference is that this messaging service does not own your data. In fact, it holds data for at most 2 weeks and gets rid of the data. The reason why it has to hold it for 2 weeks is because the data, sometimes your iPad is off, sometimes you're out of battery, so it has to hold it until your phone comes back online. So that's the only purpose. And now you have the phones being able to talk to each other. So you can text each other or message each other. And on top of that, you make this messaging protocol available to apps. Now you can build apps on top of this messaging system. So for example, take Scrabble. This is a little Scrabble game. Say 4 people want to play Scrabble. So how do you play a Scrabble game? You're just sending each other a message. It's like, I played the word hello in row 4 and column 3. Okay. It's a tiny message that this app can use this messaging system to send the data to the rest of the phones. And now you're playing Scrabble without anybody having to put up a server at all. All right? So this is what we can do with our phones. Then the question is like, but wait, what if I lose my phone? What if I buy a new phone? Well, what do we do today? You have backups, right? You put it in the cloud or you can store it on your PC. In the same way, we let everybody decide where they want to host their data. All right? You can be in Box or Dropbox in your own account. I don't have it. I mean, the messaging system doesn't have it. And people in China, for example, can put it into their Chinese cloud service. They don't have to store it in with an American cloud service. You guys heard about Snowden? Yes. So in this way, every country can potentially keep the data in their country even. And at the same time, you interoperate. You're just messaging, sharing, but the data may be backed up in all the different services. Does it make sense to you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's the basic architecture. And you would say, look, are you crazy? Facebook is so big. They already have 1.4 billion people on it. Do we have a prayer? And the answer is yes. There is a difference between the Facebook as a closed system. WeChat is another example. Apple is another example. These are all closed systems. What it means is that they lock out all the other very large companies. Because messaging, like Omlet, is an open system, we're able to work with everybody in the world. We unite together. We can create a universal social graph. And this is fine because Omlet itself does not own users' data. So companies are happy and willing to just build their sub-networks on top of a common substrate. That's why this has a chance to even disrupt something that has so many people in the network. All right. So this is the theory. This is the idea. In 2012, my research group and I decided that this is pretty good. It works. Let's take it to the market. Let's give it to the let's give it to bring it to let people have it commercially. And so we took this NSF research and we turned it into a product. This is something that the government really wants us to be able to do. If you're successful in coming up with a product with research, they'd like to see it in the product so that people can actually enjoy it and take advantage of it. So this was prototyped in 2014. It was launched at South by Southwest, and we discovered there was a lot of interest. It was the most tweeted app at the launch. It is also, Omlet is also part of iStanford. The registrar decides that it's much better for our students to be using a system that doesn't own their data. It is also being distributed in phones. ASUS, Huawei are two partners that have started distributing and have announced. And it has also been picked up in the press. There's a lot of write-ups on this little startup with a new product. The reason is that it's totally different because it is privacy-oriented. And Inc. magazine has an article on us, and they said, Omlet is an insanely ambitious assault on the entire Facebook model. So that's the Omlet project. But it is so different from everything else you have seen because everything else in the past is all server client. But this is really a distributed system taking advantage of your phones. And based on this platform, we can change the world in many significant ways. So what I want to do is to share with you 5 predictions on how the world is going to change with this kind of a new infrastructure. And what this distributed systems gives you is the ability for you to share and at the same time respect privacy. Let me show you these 5 predictions. All right, you ready? Yeah. Okay, number 5. You're going to see P2P web apps replacing the siloed experience. What does that mean? Today, if you want to do something, you have to join a network to do X, and you join another network to do Y. But with this system, you don't have to do this. This is the power of a messaging system. So as a base, a messaging system allows you and your group to use multimedia and share with each other. On top of that, there is this, what we call this drawer. There is this drawer of apps. And this could be web apps, it could be native apps, as a matter of fact. But when you click on the button, for example, you click here, you take a picture. When you're done, the picture is immediately shared within the chat. And this platform here is extensible. You can build your own and add it to that. So it's a little bit like a browser. When you have a browser, you can go visit any pages you want. But here, you can stick it as many web pages you want. And this is really not like, you don't have to download an app every single time you want to do something different with a friend. These are very easy to write. So let me just give you an example. How many people here know or have played 2048? Okay, so here's a little game. It is written in HTML5 and JavaScript. And if you want to turn it into a sharing app, all you have to add is these many lines of code. And then after you finish playing it, you will be able to share the score inside the chat, and other people can challenge you or compare scores and so forth. It's very, very easy to write. You don't even have to have a server. It is just a P2P web app. Right? It's just a web page, just like a browser page. Ta-da.
Thank you.
Okay, so with this, here is one of our summer interns, Rishabh Jain from Hawker, as a sophomore. And what he did is he wrote a little web app that shows you a picture, and it destroys it within 5 to 10 seconds. What does it seem like?
Snapchat.
It's like Snapchat. So this is kind of like a snap, but so it is stuck into this drawer, and then you can click it, and then you can share instant pictures or temporary pictures. Now, by the way, I'm not expecting that everybody is going to stop using Snapchat and go here, but I also know that there are many, many kids, maybe some people in the audience here, who have other new ideas that you want to experiment, that you want to give to the world. You can just write a little piece of code and share that within the system. The biggest difference is that you do not need to create a new social network for everything that you want to try, that you want to, a new paradigm for sharing. Another student, Evan from Gunn, did a little app that says this is an event master, allows you to invite people into a party. And then you find out who is coming and who is not. And so this is all done by individuals. I mean, it can do it really quickly. So what it means here is that there are many, many companies that allows you to do e-bike, to do Doodle, and so forth. This can be easily replaced with this paradigm of P2P web app, and the groups can communicate. And in the meantime, there is no server taking any of this data away from the people participating. All right, so that's number 5. What's number 4? It says that we can do dynamic data exchange for mobile groups. So here we have a mobile group. I don't know your Facebook identities. But what I have done is that I have created a little chat. I'm broadcasting it on this location. If you download the app, you can join this chat. And I'm going to take a picture of you guys.
Oh my God.
Except that this is very dark, but it's kind of interesting. And I just shared it within the group. And if you download this app, you will find your picture in this chat. And now you can, if you have questions, we may be out of time, you can send me pictures, send me your questions, and I can answer it right away. So there's no question about asking you for your Facebook IDs and vice versa. So I did this at a conference. It was kind of interesting. I asked the people in the audience to download the app on the spot, and I was taking pictures of the audience on the phone. And then I told them I'm going to take a picture of the audience with my watch. In the meantime, the people in the audience took a picture of me, taking a picture of them. This is my picture from the watch. And look at this picture. It's kind of weird. It's mirror image. And this is because it was taken by the guy in the backstage who is working the projector. Okay? So this is an instant set of pictures of the same event by a group of people who have never come together and exchanged any IDs. And so here's another example. That was work, and this is play, and we did it at a concert. And Gabriel and Justin, they're very popular DJs, and he was able to use Omlet to accept requests from the audience, and they can tell you what songs they are playing in that nightclub. So what we're saying here is that now you can have this software for mobile groups, and there are no third-party owners. It's just between you guys and everybody who is participating. And you don't need to have an app for concerts, an app for conferences, and so forth. You can just do it in the same app. That's number 4. What's number 3? We'll be seeing a new kind of phones where you don't have to go somewhere else to share socially. So one of our partners, ACM, has created an app called, they took the native gallery app on Android and they added the social functions to it. So, for example, here's an album. In the gallery, you can look at all these albums. These albums are all collaborative. All the pictures are not just pictures that you take, but everybody else takes. Here's the cover picture. Here are all the people participating in this wedding. They join on the spot like I was showing you. And if you click on this picture, you can chat with this person. And then when you're done, you return to these pictures. If you look at all these pictures, they have social features on it. There are hearts on it. And when you click on the picture, it expands. You see who likes the pictures. I can like the pictures on the spot. I can make comments on the pictures. And I don't have to join an external social network. This sits on your phone right in your gallery. Okay? And what it means also is that when you're offline, those pictures are still available. Okay? You no longer have to, when you're at a party, you no longer have to take a phone and ask somebody else to take a picture for you. Because they take a picture, it's in your gallery directly. And this is just one example. What we're seeing here is that with the APIs that we provide, all the mobile apps can be social. They just have to call the system with a couple of calls. They do not have to write a single line of server code. And there is absolutely no loss of privacy as a result. So that's number 3. Okay, here's number 2. This messaging system can be used for businesses. Because of the security, the companies like a bank or the airline can talk to you directly. You can respond. You don't have to worry about somebody You don't have to worry about phishing because everything is certified. And on top of that, you also have apps. You don't have to just talk to them, message them. There are even apps. They understand who you are. They know the context. They know that you have lost your bags. You don't have to stand in line to fill out forms to tell them what happened. You just have to go to your phone and to the messaging app, and then you can communicate with them. So number 2 here, we are saying that there will be personalized app-supported chat as a business communication interface. Okay, are you ready for number 1?
Yeah.
What is it? Drum roll.
Oh boy.
Number 1 is a distributed Internet of Things. Oh. There are billions of phones out there. There will be hundreds of billions of devices in the Internet of Things. 2014, January 7th, Cisco CEO says that Internet of Things is like a $19 trillion market. It's like, really? Those are huge numbers. Do you believe this? Well, a week later, Google announced that they have purchased Nest for $3.2 billion. Well, those numbers are matching up. And this is just the thermostat. Why is a thermostat worth $3.2 billion? You know, the reason is that it's all in the data. These thermostats are now in our houses collecting data. And that caused a lot of people wondering, and there is a question raised by Financial Times, and it says, who will be the Google of the Internet of Things? Who do you think it will be? Maybe Google. That's not too hard to imagine. So now the question is, are all the data going to go into the data center like our personal data going into Facebook? The good news is that the architecture I just showed you can apply to the Internet of Things. Instead of the Internet of Things reporting to a single data center, now you can have the different things connecting, your devices connecting to your phones so that you can interact with them. So the devices can be owned by different manufacturers. They don't all have to upload the data to one place so that all the data can be mixed together. So this is our last prediction, just the distributed Internet of Things. So in conclusion here is like, the mobile device is a new computer generation. We have gone through several, from mainframes, which is centralized, to PCs, decentralized. We went back to the cloud in the last decade. With the phones, we can now distribute again. We can have our privacy back again. And this is really the dawn of the privacy economy and distributed computing. And I think that this is what I believe will happen in the next for this next decade. And jump in and pitch in. Well, thank you very much.